Okay, we're reviewing what we already know again and adding in 1, which we've already discussed in class. But circumference, of course, is labeled in red all the way the length around the circle. The area is in the inside. So the red is like the pizza crust, and the inside is the entire space the pizza would take up on the table. The diameter is the size of the pizza, and the radius is what one slice size would be. So keep those in mind. The radius times 2 will get you the diameter. The diameter divided by 2, which you will have to use today, is the radius. All right, so before you can begin actually calculating circumference and area together, you have to know the difference between multiplying something by 2 and squaring it. Notice they are written a lot alike, except for this is a large 2 in front of the x, and this is a little 2 above as an exponent. So let's start with this one and make sure you understand. So we're going to take these numbers and you're going to multiply them or use them as the x. So 2 times 1 we know is 2. But 1 squared is 1 times 1, which is obviously 1. If I put in a 2, 2 times 2 is 4, and 2 times itself is also 4. 2 times 3 is 6, while this is 3 times itself. So that jumps to 9. 2 times 4, 8, while 4 times itself is obviously 16. 2 times 5, 10, and then 5 times itself, 2 5s, is 25. 2 times 10, 20. And 10 times 10, notice the difference now. They are getting way up there, is 100. 2 times 25 is 50. And an even bigger difference, 25 times itself equals 625. Last one, 2 times 100. Obviously just 200, but 100 times itself is 4 zeros. 1, 2, 3, 4. 10,000. Big difference. So what you need to realize is when you are calculating circumference, you're getting these smaller numbers. When you calculate area, look at the jump in the numbers. Look how they increase. The only one that is the same is when 2's are involved for the radius. The only time area is going to be larger is when it's less than 2 for the radius. So to summarize it all up, the difference between 2x and x squared is the same as the difference between finding the circumference and area of a circle. So let's think about the formulas. First, there's the two formulas for circumference, which are pi times diameter, pi d, or 2 times pi times the radius. You get to choose between the diameter or the radius. When it comes to area, there's only one, and that is pi times r times itself, meaning it's squared. So the diameter is not an option. If they give you the diameter, you have to divide by 2 to get the radius, because it's the only one formula available. Okay, so let's begin the calculations. First, remember circumference, 2 formulas. Now when we look at this object, they gave your circumference and they have labeled this right here as 5, and that is the radius. So go ahead and label the radius. And so we know we have to use c equals 2 pi r because they didn't give us a diameter. So let's fill it in. C equals, same thing we did yesterday, 2 times 3.14 times 5 for this radius. Now I'm going to go ahead and multiply those two out because it's an easy 10. And I get 10 times 3.14. And I then know I just moved the decimal over once. So my final answer is 31.4. And you must put centimeters on it. Now on the other side, you're only one formula. Area equals pi r squared. Please copy it down. Now, we gave us a radius, so we're ready to go. Area equals 3.14, and that's the r times itself. So I'm going to go ahead and write 5 times 5. 5 times 5 is 25. So that is 25 times 3.14. Write the next step out. First times 25. So just like we taught you before, you could still use your cheat sheet. And you now know 5 times 3.14 is 1570. Add that 0 for the placeholder and knock that out. Then I know 2 times 3.14 is 628. Add straight down. Move over twice. So my final answer is area equals 78.5, and that is square centimeters. You must put the little 2 because that's how many little squares it will take, square centimeters it would take to fill up this circle. They are taking up space. Now, at any time you get the same answer, you need to double check it because notice the circumference and the area are different. They will be different every time unless the radius is an exact 2, and that's the only time it's exactly the same. Okay, again, we are looking at our object, and again, they have labeled the radius, so let's go ahead and write the word radius on there so we remember. And we know radius obviously starts with a R, so we're going to be using this formula again. So circumference equals 2 pi r. Let's fill it in. Times 2 times 3.14 times the radius of 4. Now that is, let's go ahead and multiply those because that just gets you 8, and it's easy enough. You have it memorized. So that is 8 times 3.14 times 8, whichever way you want to think about it. And your final answer is on your cheat sheet as 25.12, and again, this one, centimeters. Okay, on the other side, area, there's only one formula. A equals pi r squared, meaning r times itself. So let's write it. A equals pi, we know. In this case, the r is 4. So let's write it twice because it's times itself. 4 times 4 is 16. So 3.14 times 16. And let's go and do the math. 6 times 3.14, as you know, is 1884. Knock that off and add in that spacer. And of course, 1 times it is 314. Add straight down. Move over twice. Area equals 50.24. And of course, that is centimeters squared. So it said is square centimeters. You must put it in there. How I remember it is when to use the square or not is when there's a square in the formula, you put the square in the answer. Look, no square in this formula, so don't put one in the answer. Okay, so let's look at our picture on number 3. We got our circle here, and we have all the way across. So let's label that, and we know it is called the diameter. In this case, the D stands for this formula right here, so we're going to use that one. C equals pi d. C equals, next line, 3.14 for pi, and the diameter in this one is 12. Go ahead and start filling in your final answer. 12 is on your cheat sheet. 37.68, and that is meters. Okay, remember area? You only got the one formula, so go ahead and copy it down. A equals pi r squared. Now, remember on our picture we labeled diameter, so we need the radius, and we know for a fact from yesterday you divide it in half and you're going to get 6 meters and label it your radius. So now you know to fill in. A equals 3.14 times 6 times itself. Now you can imagine the one mistake you're going to use is using the 12 times 12. Don't do it. There is no D in this formula. It's only an R available. So as soon as you see this diameter, know you're going to have to cut it in half to put in this formula. So let's do the math. That is 3.14 times 36, because that is 6 times 6. So 3.14, 36. Let's do the math. Again, 6 times 3.14 is 1884. Knock that off, add in that 0. And of course, 3 times 3.14, 942. Add straight down. Move over twice, and you get your final answer of area equals 113.04 square meters. Number 4, new picture. So let's look at it. The line went all the way across. So let's label it, and we know that is the diameter, and it starts with a D. So we're using this formula again. C equals pi d. C equals, pi is 3.14, and the D on this one is 4. So off to the side, 3.14 times 14. We know 4 times 3.14 is 1256. Knock that off. And 1 is 3.14. Add straight down. Move over twice. And your final answer is circumference equals 43.96. And of course, meters. On the area side, only one formula, so copy it down. Pi r squared. So let's figure out what we're going to fill in. Pi, we know, is 3.14. Easy enough. Done it enough times already. But the r isn't labeled yet, so let's go ahead and do so. The diameter is 14, so as we learned yesterday, we cut it in half. That would be 7 meters, and label the radius. So we're going to use the 7 times itself. 7 times 7. 7 times 7 I know is 49. So this is 3.14 times 49. Let's get over here in the middle and multiply it out. 9 times 3.14, 2826. Mark it off, add that spacer in there. And 4 we just did over here also, and that is 1256. Add straight down. So we get a final answer of area equals 153.86 86 square meters. Okay, so now let's think about this. Once we have it, we need to double check. Our circumference does not match our area, because what will happen, it's very simple. Y'all get in a hurry and y'all will put this as 14. 7 times 7 is not 14. It will get you the circumference by doing that every time. So this little mistake of not taking your time of 7 times 7, 49, and counting this as 14 will calculate the circumference again. So compare them. If you get the same answer, one of them is wrong. Now let's start the homework, and it is set up exactly like this. Circumference on the left side, area on the right.